The year was 1822. Spring had arrived, painting the Ohio River Valley in vibrant hues of green. On a crisp April day in the modest village of Point Pleasant, Ohio, a future president and Civil War hero drew his first breath. His name was Hiram Ulysses Grant. Born into a family of modest means, young Ulysses entered a world far removed from the grandeur of the White House or the clamor of battlefields. His father, Jesse Root Grant, was a tanner, a man who worked with his hands, transforming animal hides into leather. His mother, Hannah Simpson Grant, was a quiet, devout woman who instilled in her son a strong sense of morality and a deep-seated aversion to slavery. The Grant household, though humble, was filled with the warmth of family. Ulysses, the eldest of 6 children, grew up amidst the familiar smells of the tannery and the comforting rhythms of rural life. Little did anyone suspect that this unassuming boy, born in a small Ohio village, would one day lead a nation through its darkest hour and shape the course of American history. His early childhood, spent amidst the rolling hills and quiet tranquility of Point Pleasant, offered little hint of the extraordinary destiny that lay ahead. Ulysses, despite his quiet demeanor, possessed a strong will and a remarkable aptitude for handling horses. Stories abound of his equestrian prowess. This skill would later serve him well on the battlefields of the Civil War. His education was rudimentary, but he was an avid reader. He developed a keen interest in history and military strategy. These early influences began to shape the future general within him. He assisted his father in the tannery, learning hard work and responsibility. This experience instilled in him a deep respect for the working class. The quiet boy from Point Pleasant was being molded into the man who would one day command armies and lead a nation. In 1839, a pivotal moment arrived in the life of young Ulysses. He received an appointment to the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. This opportunity would prove to be transformative, shaping him into a soldier. West Point's rigorous curriculum and training presented a stark contrast to his previous life. He excelled in mathematics and horsemanship. Despite challenges, he persevered with quiet determination. The academy instilled in him military skills, discipline, and a code of honor. He learned strategy, logistics, and military leadership. These lessons proved invaluable in his future military career. West Point forged within Ulysses the steel of a soldier. It transformed him into a disciplined officer, ready to serve his country. The Mexican-American War, a conflict that erupted in 1846, provided Ulysses S. Grant with his first taste of real combat. Fresh out of West Point, he served under General Zachary Taylor, witnessing firsthand the horrors and the heroics of war. This experience, a baptism of fire for the young lieutenant, would prove to be a crucial chapter in his development as a military leader. Grant's performance in Mexico earned him recognition for his bravery and his resourcefulness. These qualities, honed in the crucible of war, would later serve him well as he rose through the ranks of the Union Army. A curious anecdote from Grant's early life involves a clerical error that ultimately led to a change in his name. Upon entering West Point, his name was mistakenly recorded as Ulysses Simpson Grant, a combination of his middle name and his mother's maiden name. Rather than correct the error, Grant adopted the new name, and it became the moniker under which he would achieve his historic accomplishments. This seemingly minor incident, a simple bureaucratic blunder, had a lasting impact on Grant's identity. Following the Mexican-American War, Grant experienced a period of instability and uncertainty. He was stationed at various military posts, including some in remote and desolate locations. The peacetime army offered little excitement or opportunity for advancement, and Grant struggled to find his place in the post-war world. He married Julia Dent in 1848, and the couple started a family. However, financial difficulties plagued them, and Grant struggled to provide for his growing family. He tried his hand at farming, a venture that proved unsuccessful, adding to his mounting frustrations. The years following the Mexican War were a period of personal and professional challenges for Grant. He grappled with feelings of restlessness and a sense of unfulfilled potential. He longed for a purpose, a challenge that would allow him to utilize his talents and make his mark on the world. The post-war struggles, though difficult, served as a crucible, forging within Grant a resilience and a determination that would prove invaluable in the years to come. The lessons learned during this period of hardship, the lessons of perseverance and the importance of family, would shape his character and inform his decisions as he navigated the turbulent waters of the Civil War and the presidency. Grant returned to his family's trade, working as a tanner in Galena, Illinois. These years, though marked by hardship, provided valuable family time. He relished the role of husband and father. The tannery offered stability but couldn't satisfy his ambitions. The smell of leather reminded him of his humble beginnings. Despite hardships, the Galena years offered reflection and introspection. He learned the value of hard work and family. These lessons would serve him well in extraordinary circumstances. As the nation hurtled towards civil war, Grant watched with growing unease. The escalating tensions between North and South, fueled by the issue of slavery, threatened to tear the country apart. Grant, a man who had witnessed the horrors of war firsthand, understood the devastating consequences of armed conflict. The political landscape of the late 1850s was a maelstrom of conflicting ideologies and escalating rhetoric. The debate over slavery raged, dividing families, communities, and the nation itself. Grant, a man of few words, observed the unfolding crisis with a quiet intensity, his mind grappling with the implications of a divided nation. The eve of the Civil War found Grant in Galena, a seemingly ordinary citizen caught in the undertow of extraordinary events. He was a family man, a tanner, a former soldier, a man searching for his place in a world on the brink of chaos. Little did he know that the coming storm would sweep him up and carry him to the center of the conflict, where he would play a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of the nation. Ulysses S. Grant, the once obscure tanner from Galena, felt the pull of duty. The attack on Fort Sumter ignited a fire within him to defend the Union. He faced bureaucratic hurdles but persevered. Grant volunteered his services to Illinois, his West Point training making him valuable. He approached each task with diligence, earning respect and attention. The call to arms reawakened the soldier within him. Grant embraced the opportunity to serve and contribute to the Union. Grant's early command in Cairo, Illinois, a strategically important location at the confluence of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, provided him with his first opportunity to demonstrate his military acumen. He quickly grasped the importance of controlling the waterways, recognizing their crucial role in supplying and transporting troops. His first significant victory came at Fort Henry in February 1862, a relatively swift and decisive capture that boosted Union morale and signaled Grant's potential as a commander. This success paved the way for a more challenging objective, Fort Donelson, a Confederate stronghold guarding the Cumberland River. The siege of Fort Donelson, a grueling and bloody affair, tested Grant's resolve. Faced with a determined Confederate defense, he refused to retreat, famously declaring, "No terms except an unconditional and immediate surrender can be accepted." This resolute stance, which earned him the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant, became a hallmark of his leadership. The capture of Fort Donelson, a major victory for the Union, catapulted Grant into the national spotlight. His unwavering determination, his tactical brilliance, and his refusal to accept defeat marked him as a rising star in the Union Army, a commander who could deliver much-needed victories in the fight to preserve the nation. The Battle of Shiloh, fought in April 1862 near Pittsburgh Landing, Tennessee, proved to be a brutal and costly test for Grant and his army. The initial Confederate onslaught caught the Union forces by surprise, pushing them back towards the river. The fighting was fierce and relentless, resulting in heavy casualties on both sides. Grant, under immense pressure, remained calm and resolute. He rallied his troops, reorganized his lines, and stubbornly refused to concede defeat. he displayed a coolness under fire that inspired his men and earned him the admiration of his superiors. The arrival of reinforcements under General Don Carlos Buell bolstered the Union lines, turning the tide of the battle. The Confederate assault faltered, and the Union forces launched a counteroffensive, driving the Confederates back. Shiloh, though a Union victory, was a bloody affair, the scale of casualties shocking the nation. Shiloh, a baptism of fire for Grant, solidified his reputation as a tenacious and resourceful commander. He had faced adversity head-on, weathered the storm, and emerged victorious. The lessons learned in the blood-soaked fields of Shiloh would shape his approach to future battles and contribute to his eventual success in leading the Union Army to victory. The capture of Vicksburg, Mississippi, a Confederate stronghold controlling the Mississippi River, became Grant's next major objective. The city, perched on bluffs overlooking the river, presented a formidable challenge. Grant's initial attempts to take the city by direct assault proved unsuccessful. Undeterred, Grant embarked on a daring campaign of maneuver and siege. He cut off the city's supply lines, bombarded its defenses, and gradually tightened his grip. The siege of Vicksburg, a masterpiece of military strategy, lasted for 6 weeks, testing the endurance and resolve of both armies. The Confederate defenders, trapped and starving, finally surrendered on July 4, 1863, a momentous victory for the Union. The fall of Vicksburg, coupled with the Union victory at Gettysburg the day before, marked a turning point in the Civil War. The Confederacy was split in two, and the Union gained control of the vital Mississippi River. Vicksburg, a testament to Grant's strategic brilliance and his unwavering determination, solidified his reputation as one of the Union's most capable commanders. The capture of the Gibraltar of the Confederacy elevated Grant to national prominence and paved the way for his eventual appointment as General-in-Chief of the Union armies. Following his success at Vicksburg, Grant was tasked with relieving the besieged Union Army at Chattanooga, Tennessee. The city, strategically located in the heart of the Confederacy, was crucial to the Union war effort. Grant, with his characteristic decisiveness, quickly assessed the situation and formulated a plan of attack. The Battle of Chattanooga, fought in November 1863, was a resounding Union victory. Grant's forces, bolstered by reinforcements, stormed Missionary Ridge and Lookout Mountain, breaking the Confederate grip on the city and securing control of the vital railroad lines. Chattanooga, a brilliant display of Grant's tactical skill and his ability to coordinate complex military operations, further enhanced his reputation as a masterful commander. The victory opened up a pathway for the Union advance into the heart of the Confederacy, setting the stage for the final campaigns of the war. The liberation of Chattanooga, a strategic triumph for the Union, demonstrated Grant's ability to overcome challenging terrain and a determined enemy. His leadership at Chattanooga solidified his position as one of the Union's most important commanders and earned him the trust and confidence of President Lincoln. In March of 1864, President Abraham Lincoln appointed Ulysses S. Grant to the position of General-in-Chief of the Union armies. This appointment, a testament to Lincoln's faith in Grant's abilities, placed him in overall command of the Union war effort. Grant, the once obscure tanner, now held the fate of the nation in his hands. Lincoln, recognizing Grant's tenacity and his unwavering commitment to victory, saw in him the leader who could bring the war to a successful conclusion. Grant's unconditional surrender approach resonated with Lincoln's determination to preserve the Union at all costs. Grant, upon assuming command, immediately set about implementing his strategy for defeating the Confederacy. He recognized the importance of coordinating the Union armies, of applying relentless pressure on the Confederate forces, and of targeting the resources that fueled the Southern war effort. Grant's appointment as General-in-Chief marked a turning point in the Civil War. His leadership, his strategic vision, and his unwavering resolve would guide the Union armies through the final bloody campaigns of the war and ultimately lead to the Confederacy's defeat. Grant's overland campaign, launched in the spring of 1864, was a series of brutal battles fought in Virginia against General Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia. The campaign, a grueling test of endurance and resolve, resulted in heavy casualties on both sides. Grant, with his characteristic aggressiveness, relentlessly pursued Lee's army, engaging in a series of bloody encounters at the Wilderness, Spotsylvania Courthouse, and Cold Harbor. The fighting was fierce and unrelenting, a war of attrition that tested the limits of both armies. Despite the heavy losses, Grant refused to be deterred. He understood that the Union, with its superior resources, could sustain the fight, while the Confederacy could not. His determination to press the attack, even at great cost, gradually wore down Lee's army. The Overland Campaign, though costly in terms of human life, marked a significant turning point in the war. Grant's relentless pressure on Lee's army, his refusal to retreat, and his willingness to absorb heavy losses gradually eroded the Confederacy's ability to resist. Following the Overland Campaign, Grant shifted his focus to Petersburg, Virginia, a vital railroad hub supplying the Confederate capital of Richmond. The siege of Petersburg, a protracted and bloody affair, lasted for 9 months, further depleting the dwindling resources of the Confederacy. Grant, with his characteristic patience and determination, gradually tightened his grip on Petersburg, cutting off supply lines and extending his siege lines. The Confederate defenders, facing starvation and dwindling ammunition, fought with desperate courage, but their situation was hopeless. In April 1865, with Petersburg about to fall, Lee abandoned Richmond and attempted to escape westward. Grant, anticipating Lee's move, pursued him relentlessly, finally cornering him at Appomattox Courthouse. On April 9, 1865, Lee surrendered his army to Grant, effectively ending the Civil War. The surrender at Appomattox, a moment of profound historical significance, marked the end of the Confederacy and the beginning of the long and difficult process of national reunification. The meeting between Grant and Lee at Appomattox Courthouse was a moment of reconciliation, a symbolic closing of a chapter of immense national division and bloodshed. Grant, magnanimous in victory, offered Lee generous terms of surrender, allowing Confederate officers to keep their sidearms and horses and permitting soldiers to return home to their families. Grant's respect for Lee, a fellow West Point graduate and a respected military leader, was evident in his treatment of the defeated Confederate general. He understood the pain and suffering caused by the war and sought to heal the wounds of a divided nation. The image of Grant and Lee meeting at Appomattox, captured in paintings and photographs, became an iconic representation of the end of the Civil War. It symbolized the reunification of the nation, the healing of wounds, and the beginning of a new era in American history. The surrender at Appomattox, a moment of both triumph and tragedy, marked the culmination of Grant's military career. He had led the Union armies to victory, preserved the nation, and earned a place among the greatest military leaders in American history. The quiet tanner from Galena had become a national hero, his name forever linked to the preservation of the Union and the end of slavery. The Civil War's echoes reverberated across a shattered nation. The South lay in ruins, its economy devastated, its social fabric torn asunder. The task of rebuilding, of reconciling a divided nation and integrating formerly enslaved people into society, was a monumental undertaking. Ulysses S. Grant, the victorious general, found himself at the forefront of this daunting challenge. His reputation as a decisive leader and a man of integrity made him a natural choice for a prominent role in the post-war era. He understood the complexities of the situation, the deep-seated resentments, and the need for a balanced approach to Reconstruction. Grant's military experience, his first-hand knowledge of the South, and his commitment to justice positioned him to navigate the treacherous waters of Reconstruction. He believed in a firm but fair approach, seeking to balance the need for accountability with the imperative of reconciliation. The aftermath of war presented a unique set of challenges, unlike anything Grant had faced on the battlefield. The battlefields of Reconstruction were political and social, demanding a different kind of leadership, a different kind of strategy. Grant, with his characteristic determination and his unwavering commitment to the nation's well-being, embraced this new challenge, seeking to forge a path toward a more just and unified future. President Andrew Johnson, Lincoln's successor, appointed Grant as Secretary of War ad interim in 1867. This position placed Grant in the midst of the tumultuous political landscape of Reconstruction, a period marked by clashes between the executive and legislative branches over the direction of the nation's recovery. Grant, though a military man, found himself navigating the complexities of political maneuvering. He attempted to maintain a neutral stance, seeking to implement Reconstruction policies while avoiding entanglement in the escalating conflict between Johnson and Congress. Grant's tenure as Secretary of War ad interim was a period of learning and adaptation. He gained valuable experience in the workings of government, the intricacies of policymaking, and the challenges of balancing competing interests. Despite his efforts to remain above the political fray, Grant increasingly found himself at odds with Johnson's policies, which he viewed as too lenient towards the former Confederacy. This growing disillusionment with Johnson's approach to Reconstruction would ultimately lead Grant to seek the presidency, where he hoped to implement his own vision for the nation's future. In 1868, Ulysses S. Grant, the war hero and former Secretary of War ad interim, emerged as the Republican nominee for president. His popularity, stemming from his military successes and his perceived integrity, made him a formidable candidate. The nation, weary of war and political strife, looked to Grant for leadership and stability. The Democratic Party nominated Horatio Seymour, the former governor of New York. The election, held in the shadow of Reconstruction, focused on issues of race, reconciliation, and the future of the South. Grant's campaign emphasized his commitment to a just and lasting peace, while Seymour advocated for a more lenient approach to Reconstruction. Grant won the election decisively, capturing the popular vote and securing a comfortable majority in the Electoral College. His victory, a testament to his national stature and the public's desire for strong leadership, ushered in a new era in American politics. The election of 1868 marked the ascension of a war hero to the highest office in the land. Grant, the quiet tanner from Galena, had risen to become the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and now assumed the mantle of commander-in-chief of the nation. His presidency, fraught with challenges and controversies, would shape the course of Reconstruction and leave a lasting impact on American history. Grant's presidency was dominated by the challenges of Reconstruction. He faced the daunting task of rebuilding the South, integrating formerly enslaved people into society, and protecting the rights of newly freed African Americans. He pursued a policy of reconciliation, seeking to heal the wounds of war while upholding the principles of justice and equality. Grant supported the passage of the 14th and 15th Amendments, which granted citizenship and voting rights to African Americans. He also worked to establish and protect the Freedmen's Bureau, an organization dedicated to assisting formerly enslaved people in their transition to freedom. Despite Grant's efforts, Reconstruction faced fierce resistance from white Southerners who resented federal intervention and sought to maintain white supremacy. The rise of white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan undermined efforts to protect the rights of African Americans and enforce federal laws. Grant's commitment to Reconstruction, though commendable, faced formidable obstacles. The legacy of slavery, the deep-seated racism of Southern society, and the political machinations of those who opposed racial equality created a climate of violence and intimidation that hampered efforts to rebuild the South and integrate African Americans into the fabric of American life. The 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, guaranteed the right to vote regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. This landmark achievement, a culmination of the struggle for civil rights, represented a significant step forward in the pursuit of equality for African Americans. Grant, a strong advocate for the 15th Amendment, recognized its importance in securing the gains of Reconstruction. He believed that the right to vote was essential for African Americans to exercise their full citizenship and participate fully in American society. The passage of the 15th Amendment, though a major victory for civil rights, did not fully eliminate barriers to voting for African Americans. Southern states implemented various tactics such as poll taxes, literacy tests, and grandfather clauses to disenfranchise black voters. Despite these obstacles, the 15th Amendment remained a powerful symbol of progress. It represented a formal recognition of the fundamental right to vote, a right that would continue to be fought for and defended in the decades to come. Grant's administration faced significant economic challenges, including the Panic of 1873, a financial crisis that triggered a severe depression. The panic, caused by a combination of factors, including overspeculation in railroads and a decline in international trade, had a devastating impact on the American economy. Grant's response to the panic, though criticized by some, reflected his commitment to sound fiscal policy. He signed legislation to resume specie payments, a move aimed at stabilizing the currency and restoring confidence in the financial system. The Panic of 1873 and the subsequent Depression had a profound impact on the nation's economy and on Grant's presidency. The economic hardship fueled social unrest and contributed to a decline in public support for Reconstruction. Grant's economic policies, though designed to address the crisis, were not universally popular. Critics argued that his focus on fiscal conservatism exacerbated the economic downturn. The Panic of 1873 and its aftermath cast a long shadow over Grant's second term, adding to the challenges he faced in navigating the complex political and social landscape of the era. Grant's Native American policy, aimed at promoting peace and assimilation, faced numerous challenges and generated considerable controversy. He advocated for a peace policy which sought to replace corrupt Indian agents with Christian missionaries and reformers. Grant's approach, though well-intentioned, was often undermined by conflicting interests and bureaucratic inefficiencies. The encroachment of white settlers on Native American lands, the discovery of gold in the Black Hills, and the resistance of some Native American tribes to assimilation led to ongoing conflict. The most notable conflict during Grant's presidency was the Great Sioux War of 1876, sparked by the discovery of gold in the Black Hills of South Dakota. The war, which culminated in the Battle of Little Bighorn, highlighted the tensions between Native American tribes and the expanding United States. Grant's Native American policy, though aimed at achieving a peaceful resolution, ultimately proved ineffective in preventing conflict and protecting Native American rights. The legacy of his policy remains a complex and contentious issue in American history. Grant's presidency was plagued by scandals involving members of his administration and close associates. While Grant himself was not directly implicated in these scandals, his perceived tolerance of corruption tarnished his reputation and undermined public trust in his leadership. The Credit Mobilier scandal, involving bribery and fraud in the construction of the Union Pacific Railroad, exposed corruption at the highest levels of government. The Whiskey Ring scandal, which involved tax evasion by distillers and government officials, further eroded public confidence in Grant's administration. Grant, though personally honest, was criticized for his loyalty to friends and associates, even when they were accused of wrongdoing. His reluctance to remove corrupt officials from office, coupled with his tendency to trust those around him, contributed to the perception of widespread corruption within his administration. The scandals that plagued Grant's presidency, though not directly attributable to his own actions, cast a long shadow over his legacy. The perception of corruption, whether accurate or not, tarnished his image and detracted from his accomplishments in other areas. Despite the scandals and controversies that plagued his first term, Grant secured re-election in 1872. He defeated Horace Greeley, the editor of the New York Tribune, who ran as the candidate of the Liberal Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The election of 1872, held against a backdrop of economic hardship and political scandal, highlighted the deep divisions within American society. Grant's supporters praised his leadership during the war and his commitment to Reconstruction, while his critics accused him of tolerating corruption and mismanaging the economy. Grant's victory, though decisive, was marred by the controversies surrounding his first term. His second term would be dominated by efforts to address the ongoing economic crisis and to restore public trust in his leadership. The election of 1872, a referendum on Grant's first term, reaffirmed his popularity and his hold on the presidency. However, the controversies that swirled around his administration continued to cast a shadow over his second term, adding to the challenges he faced in leading the nation through a period of economic and social upheaval. Grant's legacy as president is a complex and often contradictory one. He is remembered for his commitment to Reconstruction and civil rights. However, his presidency was marred by scandal and economic hardship. His achievements include the 15th Amendment and the Department of Justice. He also reformed the civil service. Yet, his administration was tainted by scandal. His Native American policy failed to protect rights. Reconstruction failed to achieve racial equality. Grant's legacy is a mixed bag of achievements and shortcomings. In 1877, after 8 years in the White House, Ulysses S. Grant bid farewell to the presidency. Weary from leadership, Grant embarked on a world tour with his wife Julia and son Jesse. He had no fixed itinerary, only a desire to see the world and experience different cultures. He was simply Ulysses S. Grant, a private citizen on an adventure. The world tour offered Grant a chance to reflect on his life and legacy. Grant's world tour was a triumphal procession. He was hailed as a hero, a liberator, and a symbol of American democracy. From Europe to Asia, Grant experienced international acclaim. In England, he met with Queen Victoria, receiving a royal welcome. In Japan, he was received by Emperor Meiji. In China, he met with Li Hongzhang, discussing trade and diplomacy. He marveled at the wonders of the world. After more than 2 years abroad, Grant returned to America in 1879. He was greeted with a hero's welcome, his travels having further enhanced his reputation. Grant's return marked a transition from world traveler to private citizen. He settled in New York City, eager to reconnect with friends and family. Grant's post-presidency life was a mix of public appearances, business ventures, and personal pursuits. The return to America marked a new chapter in Grant's life. Grant's post-presidency life took a dramatic and devastating turn when he became entangled in a fraudulent investment scheme orchestrated by Ferdinand Ward, a young and seemingly successful financier. Grant, trusting and inexperienced in the world of high finance, invested heavily in Ward's firm, Grant & Ward, believing he was securing his family's financial future. Ward's scheme, a Ponzi scheme built on lies and deception, eventually collapsed in 1884, leaving Grant financially ruined. He lost his entire fortune, his life savings wiped out by Ward's treachery. The financial devastation was a crushing blow, threatening to tarnish his reputation and leave him destitute in his old age. Grant, facing financial ruin, refused to succumb to despair. He was determined to repay his debts and provide for his family. He turned to his one remaining asset, his reputation as a war hero and former president, seeking opportunities to earn income and rebuild his financial standing. The financial collapse, a shocking turn of events, tested Grant's resilience and his character. He had faced adversity before, on the battlefields of the Civil War and in the political arena. But this personal crisis demanded a different kind of courage, a different kind of strength. Grant, facing the prospect of poverty and disgrace, refused to be defeated. He embarked on a new battle, a fight to regain his financial footing and preserve his honor. The Grant and Ward scandal, a shocking betrayal, sent shockwaves through American society. Ferdinand Ward, a trusted partner, defrauded Grant and countless investors. The scandal tarnished Grant's reputation, raising questions about his judgment. Though honest, Grant was criticized for his association with Ward. He had trusted Ward implicitly, failing to see the warning signs. The scandal threatened to overshadow his accomplishments. Grant maintained his innocence, insisting he was duped by Ward. He cooperated fully with investigators to clear his name. The scandal exposed the dangers of misplaced trust. In the aftermath of the Grant and Ward scandal, Ulysses S. Grant faced a new and daunting challenge: throat cancer. Diagnosed in 1884, the disease progressed rapidly. Despite the illness, Grant remained resolute, determined to provide for his family. He embarked on a literary endeavor, racing to complete his memoirs. His personal account of the Civil War would be a valuable historical document. He poured his energy into the project, writing tirelessly despite the pain. Grant's writing process was a testament to his discipline and determination. He worked diligently, often dictating his memories to a stenographer. He pushed himself to the limits of his endurance, driven by a desire to complete his memoirs. The race against time revealed Grant's indomitable spirit and commitment to his family. He faced his mortality with courage and dignity, determined to leave behind a legacy. The memoirs, a literary and historical triumph, would become a testament to his resilience and enduring place in American history. Grant's memoirs, completed just before his death, became an instant sensation. The two-volume work offered a unique perspective on the Civil War. Praised for their clarity and honesty, they secured Grant's place among key chroniclers. The memoirs provided insights into his strategies and leadership. He shared thoughts on battles and interactions with Lincoln. Essential for historians and students, the memoirs are a literary achievement. The book's success provided financial security for his family. A masterpiece, the memoirs cemented Grant's legacy as a soldier, president, and writer. As Grant's illness progressed, he sought refuge in the peaceful surroundings of Mount McGregor. He moved to a cottage there in the summer of 1885. Mount McGregor became his final sanctuary, a place where he could find solace in the beauty of nature. The cottage at Mount McGregor became Grant's final home. He spent his days surrounded by his loved ones, continuing to work on his memoirs. He found comfort in the quiet rhythm of mountain life. Grant's presence at Mount McGregor attracted visitors from near and far. People came to pay their respects to the dying hero. The small mountain community became a focal point of national attention. Mount McGregor provided Grant with a much-needed sanctuary in his final days. He found comfort in the tranquility of the mountains and the presence of his family. The small mountain cottage became a place of pilgrimage for those who wished to honor the life and legacy of a national hero. Grant's final battle was not fought on a battlefield, but against the relentless advance of cancer. He faced his mortality with the same courage and dignity that had characterized his military career and his presidency. He endured the pain and discomfort of his illness with stoicism, refusing to let it define his final days. He continued to work on his memoirs, pushing himself to complete the project despite his weakening condition. He maintained his interest in current events, reading newspapers and discussing political issues with visitors. He remained engaged with the world, refusing to retreat into despair or self-pity. Grant's strength and resilience in the face of death inspired those around him. His family, his friends, and his doctors marveled at his fortitude, his unwavering spirit, and his determination to make the most of his remaining time. Grant's final battle, a testament to his character and his indomitable spirit, was a fight against the inevitable. He faced death with the same resolve he had shown in facing the challenges of war and the burdens of leadership. His final days, though marked by suffering, were also marked by courage, dignity, and a deep appreciation for the life he had lived. On July 23, 1885, Ulysses S. Grant succumbed to throat cancer. His death, a national tragedy, plunged the nation into mourning. Grant's funeral, a grand and solemn affair, was a testament to his stature. He was laid to rest in Grant's tomb, a magnificent mausoleum overlooking the Hudson River. Grant's legacy, a complex and enduring one, continues to be debated and reevaluated. The news of Ulysses S. Grant's death reverberated around the world. From Europe to America, people mourned the passing of a military hero and former president. Newspapers carried lengthy obituaries, recounting Grant's life and impact. In the United States, the reaction was profound grief. Flags flew at half-staff, businesses closed, and communities held memorial services. Political leaders eulogized Grant, praising his leadership and integrity. The outpouring of grief was global, underscoring his international impact. He was mourned as a champion of democracy and a symbol of resilience. His passing marked the end of an era and the loss of a historic leader. Ulysses S. Grant's funeral was a spectacle of national mourning. The elaborate ceremonies provided a fitting tribute to a national hero. The funeral cortege wound its way through New York City. The somber atmosphere reflected the nation's profound sense of loss. Grant's body lay in state in City Hall. Thousands filed past his coffin, a silent testament to his impact. The final journey marked the end of a remarkable life, a majestic mausoleum overlooking the Hudson River in New York City, designed to evoke the grandeur of ancient Roman architecture, a place of pilgrimage to honor his memory. The design reflects Grant's military and civilian roles, massive granite structure with intricate carvings, inside the sarcophagi of Grant and his wife. The quiet solemnity creates an atmosphere of reverence, a symbol of national unity and remembrance, a place to connect with the past and reflect on leadership, a testament to Grant's enduring place in American history. In the immediate aftermath of Grant's death, early assessments of his life and legacy began to take shape. These initial narratives, often influenced by personal relationships, political affiliations, and the prevailing social climate, shaped public perception of Grant and laid the groundwork for future historical interpretations. Some early accounts, written by those who knew Grant personally, emphasized his military genius, his unwavering determination, and his personal integrity. They portrayed him as a humble and unassuming leader, a man of action who had risen from obscurity to lead the Union to victory in the Civil War. Other accounts, often penned by political opponents or those critical of his presidency, focused on the scandals that had plagued his administration, portraying him as a naive and ineffective leader who had allowed corruption to flourish. These early criticisms, though often based on partisan biases, contributed to a mixed and often contradictory image of Grant in the public mind. The early assessments of Grant's legacy, a mix of praise and criticism, reflected the complexities of his life and the challenges he faced as a military leader and a president. These initial narratives, though often incomplete and sometimes inaccurate, laid the foundation for future historical inquiries and shaped the ongoing debate about Grant's place in American history.